Oh, hey everyone. How are you this evening? Oh, boy, it feels good to be back.
It feels good to be here with you all. I'm Brooke Cardis.
And I'm Eileen Galvin.
And Eileen, what look are you serving us this evening?
This is very much School Marm who just got tested. I got tested for this. No, but this is very School Marm. Did you finish your homework? Do you need any help with your quiz questions? And also, I don't care.
Also, I'm very busy. Can you show our audience your ring? Because I think that is next level. So it's a perfume ring.
It is a perfume ring. I got this from Witch Lab. Shout out to Witch Lab.
Shout out to Witch Lab. What up? We follow them on the gram.
And this actually has perfume in it. And it's like old 19th century oil perfume.
Oh my god, it's absolutely made of whale. What's that called?
Ambergris.
Ambergris. Yeah.
So you know what I wouldn't recommend?
Tell me everything.
I wouldn't recommend putting this anywhere on your body.
No, not today, Satan. No, thank you.
It's not going to work out well for you.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's delightful. I wore my favorite ring, which is my old cougar ring.
Arrow.
I used to wear this on stage. It was like my good luck charm. And if I didn't wear it, I didn't feel right. And it's so funny because I figured out why. First of all, it's like a shit ring from H&M. I'm obsessed with it. I have looked into getting real gold and emerald cougar ring made because I'm approachable. And I was like, that's $15,000. But the reason I feel so weird about it is because it's so heavy. So if I don't have it,
yeah. I thought this was a ring trading moment.
No, yes, ring trade.
And now you were mine.
It's like a sleepover.
It is very heavy, yes.
Yeah. So you feel the weight of it. So
I do.
You, girl, I'm giving my shit back. You look better at everything. So
it's doing too much. It's doing too much.
Y'all, we have so much to cover, and we're so excited to be here, and we hope you are as well. We do have to acknowledge and discuss briefly the anti-trans bills that are popping up all over the country, not only in sports, but also in medicine. So right now, Tennessee...
Yeah, Tennessee just passed a bill that requires kids to prove the sex that they were assigned at birth before they can sign up for sports programs in school. Which, honestly, for me, I did sports in school before my transition. If I were transitioning in the middle of doing sports in school, I would just say, forget it. I'm not going to bother because it's just, could you imagine how stressful that would be?
Oh my God, terrible. And also, this is just besides the absolute violation of privacy, this is just such not a problem. And this is just such fear-mongering. And the law in Arkansas that is trying to penalize and punish doctors for treating trans kids is another example of just absolute fear-monger tactics, and just, it's going to kill trans kids. It's going to kill trans kids, which is their goal.
Just throwing a really small number of very, very vulnerable people under the bus.
Right. Yes. Right. The smallest, anyways. So what I was talking about with Eileen and what I want you all to keep in mind is that while these feel really far away, there is probably an anti-trans bill in your state that's in committee or being discussed. Ohio, I'm looking at you. So, as we think about this, make sure you take a look at whatever your state is doing, because the goal of these absolutely hateful, manipulative, anti-trans groups is to get two different circuit courts to disagree on how these laws are interpreted, so they can go to an ever conservative Supreme Court and strike down trans rights for the whole fucking country. So while this feels far away in places like Arkansas and Tennessee, it's actually not. This is on our doorstep. Yeah. So, get involved. Make sure that if you have a bill that's coming up in your state, that you are making calls. Trans activists have said that, you can still make calls even if you don't live in Arkansas, to Arkansas legislators. So there's information on that, and we'll post it in the comments. But I just know that this isn't far away. This is exactly what the right wanted when they created the most conservative and, frankly, ridiculous Supreme Court that we've had in decades, and we need to stay vigilant.
Yeah, and we are a relatively small community, so we have to show up for each other even across the state boundary. And y'all, tomorrow is Trans Day of Visibility.
Oh my God!
What better thing to do? Because as a resident trans person, I'm your garden variety tran. I'm not your garden variety anything, but
fuck no.
You get a lot of you field a lot of questions.
Do you?
You field a lot of questions about what can I do to protect trans kids? I'll tell you. Call your representatives. And there is a great guide to this that I just posted on my Facebook page that James Knapp of Trans Ohio put together. Of what's going on in different states and the different action items that you can do right now. And it's a one of those Google Docs that everybody can view. So share it out. Share it with everybody.
We're all connected, and I'm looking at you, white gays like me. This is our time. Show up. Show up. Don't do what we did in the 90s and leave the T of LGBTQ behind.
It's not all appletini and daiquiris.
But isn't it?
Except on Thursdays. They're half off. Speaking of which, do you like a cocktail?
Girl, you know I love me a cocktail.
Well, we didn't want to cook tonight because we were lazy, so we...
Here's the thing. Here's what I love. I love a cocktail that is just booze.
Oh.
With an accoutrement. I do not like...
Can I have a glass of spirits, please?
Right. I just give me the mixer is the ice. Like, I don't need a lot of floof. So what did you conjure for us tonight?
Well, you know me, girl. I'm all about the classics. So I whipped up in a little cocktail shaker my perfect martini. I almost said Manhattan because that is my favorite.
That is your favorite.
But we're not doing... We'll do Manhattans another time. This is a classic martini. Up, naturally. Shaken, not stirred. Not that I'm really a big fan of James Bond, but I just like to shake him. Just like to shake him. So before we get into the recipe, just cheers to you, girl.
Cheers,
welcome.
Girl.
It's a delight having you here.
Feeling very
Come
good.
back whenever you want.
Oh, girl, I will. Thanks, Moderna. Delicious. So I'm doing a twist on a classic because I'm doing vodka because I can't drink gin anymore.
It's complicated. You told me when we were up at the sidebar by the wet bar, you told me that you couldn't do gin anymore because hashtag it's complicated. And you know what? I think all of us have that. To tie it into the theme. Girl, you know how we love to tie it into the theme.
We love a theme.
Our bodies change over time in unexpected ways, and there's certain things I just can't put in it anymore. Taco Bell chief among them, but...
It's always butt plugs with you. Anyways.
I mean, look at the material.
You know,
It's very gay. It's very gay.
Taco Bell is such a complicated thing. Most fast food is such a complicated thing.
Act of desperation. I would put it under... I would file it under that category.
Absolutely.
2 a.m., nothing's open. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Curse you, Canes. Why aren't you open, Canes? That Texas toast can save some lives. So, tonight we're talking about, of course, not just changing bodies. We wanted to talk about, what it's like to navigate bodies in partnership or in relationships in queer spaces.
In a relationship with yourself.
Also, yes, the most important relationship. And also how it's like, I have this gift. So we should just dish right now. So I have this gift. I have this absolute gift of dating people who identify as one gender and then they transition. I have I don't know what it is.
You're a catalyst.
I am a catalyst, and I sometimes they transition when we're together. Sometimes they wait and they transition after. Sometimes they transition to transgender. Sometimes they're non-binary. Sometimes they're living in between those two categories. But I have a gift, and I don't know. I'm like the good luck Chuck for y'all to figure yourselves out. Like anyone to figure themselves out. I just feel like maybe it's because I think I'm just so free and open, and then I feel like I attract people who are like, that's amazing, I want to do that. And I'm like, you can. And they're like, I'm trans.
I feel like you serve a lot of touched by an angel look. And so when a backlight just hits you at just the right angle, it's like, I'm trans.
Oh my God, I'm like, I don't know. Well, it's really interesting because a lot of times I've had conversations with partners and they've told amazing stories about their childhood, and they're like, they relate the stories from their childhood about wanting to be a different gender to sexual orientation. Yeah. And I think that also can be true. Right? So the tomboy narrative or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I think that, sexual orientation and gender identity can be inextricably intertwined in those memories in ways that we don't necessarily think about.
And there's a lot of repression, so sometimes you don't want to open that box.
Oh my God, someone screenshot that.
Ooh, it's a whole thing. I'm gonna need another sip for that
girl.
one.
Yeah, but I think so
for that thumbnail.
In thinking about the it's my new Tinder pic.
Synchronized swimming.
Yes,
that's the next theme.
That was synchronized walrusing. But I think it is really interesting because, in having those conversations, I'm so proud and grateful because I'm like, this is such a gift I can give someone I'm with. Because guess what? 99% of relationships don't work out in terms of time. They don't last.
Yeah.
But what can you leave? Like, can you leave campsite rule? Can you leave the person better than when you found them? And if you're more in touch with who you are,
love that.
That's a win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think
I'm not a hero.
So I'm not saying
if anyone said that
what we do is important, but
obviously joking.
Yeah. No, I think the conditions have to be just right in order to embark on that journey, because otherwise you're just going to sit at the dock the rest of your life on the pier with the damp cloth, waving the other ships. When someday it's going to be your turn. It's going to be your turn for that maiden voyage. Yeah. But the conditions have to be just right. And Brooke, I think what this tells me is partly you provide loving, conducive relationships for people to start thinking about themselves in a different way, because they have to feel really safe. They have to feel supported.
I'm like a womb with lipstick.
Oh. I don't know if I care for that. Is that you swimming in the womb?
I don't know.
In utero, mama. In utero.
I think it's really interesting because, I don't know. Well, first of all, there's a term that I don't think is used anymore by the modern gays, but stone was a term that I was raised with in my queer community, which is a term for folks who maybe don't identify with the parts or the genitalia that they have, or don't identify with them, which means they don't want you to engage with them.
Right. Yeah, and this is really interesting in the relationship with your body.
Yeah.
What are the parts that are sort of off limits?
Right. And I think stone is an extreme example of that, but I think all people have parts of their body, Jesus, that we are uncomfortable with, right? Everyone has those parts.
Parts of Jesus' body?
Parts of Jesus' body. No, you know what? No one is
I parsed that wrong.
No one is uncomfortable with Jesus' body.
No.
He is
fit
man.
Yeah, swimsuit edition.
The
Sports
body
Illustrated.
issue. The body issue.
The body of Christ. Oh my God. So it is the body issue.
Oh dear.
Leah, did you just talk about the body of Jesus? Because I'm here for that conversation. I'm here for it.
Or body parts that are off limits. Either way, we're here for it.
Yes.
But I feel like...
Yeah, to be serious.
Stone is a really narrow way we say it in the queer community, but I think more broadly in all communities it exists. Where it's but then we are so repressed sexually, I never know how to even have that conversation. It's hey, I don't want you to touch me here. Or, hey, this is a part of me that's uncomfortable. It might need a little more nurturing, a little more time. Without being don't do that!
Do you think it comes from a place of dysphoria? Because I think there is a common in the trans experience is, I need to address these things about my body, and until that happens, I'm not really comfortable with inviting other people to this party.
I think that can be one of the steps, right? And I think I'm very grateful for partners who have that awareness, or for people who have that awareness, but I think often it just starts as don't touch that. Right? Because I think it's just I don't know what it is. I don't like it. And I'm just going to close this door.
Yeah. I like to think of it as... Oh, kazoons.
Sorry, my allergies are really bad.
Double kazoon tight. I know, it was fine for me. And then, because it builds up slowly over time, it's allergies are like a sneak attack. Because all the plants are having sex in the air, and then all of a sudden it's just, your body's too much.
It is a sneak attack. Oh, Leah, if you love the term stone, you should read Stone Butch Blues by Leslie Feinberg, and it'll define out of that for you. Oh my gosh. But yeah, this is, it seems like there's a step on the way before dysphoria of I maybe don't understand why.
Yeah.
But this is not something that's in my wheelhouse.
Right. Well, when you touch a hot stove, you don't ask, why does it burn? It's just, ouch.
I'm sorry. Is there a poet? What is that? I love that. Yes, that's it.
The poet laureate.
Yes, the poet laureate of Covered Dish.
Nope. Just a teacher clown. Just a clown teacher.
Yeah, give yourself clown teacher, not teacher clown. You know what I mean?
Clown teacher.
Yeah, it sounds like...
I tried to do Dowager Clown for a hot minute when I was streaming on Twitch because I wanted to be funny.
Someone get in the chat and tell Eileen Galvin, who has a master's in linguistics, that Dowager is not a word anyone knows. Thank you. No, it's not a word that people know.
I'm sorry. Have you ever been to an antique auction?
This Dallinger figurine from the 1930s.
Yeah. And also the answer to that question is also no.
Also no. Anyways, I love how smart you are.
Chestnut credenza belonged to the Dowager Ursula.
Things have gone right to exactly what I thought
Relatable
they would,
content.
which is antique furniture. Anyways.
Speaking of relatable content, if you like Cover Dish Tuesdays at 7, you should remember to like us on Facebook and subscribe on our YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah, and follow us on the gram. We
Yeah.
post nudes. Ish. I mean, nude shoulders. Anyways.
Nudes. If that's short for noodle, we surely do.
Or noobs.
Noobs. We own noobs and we post nudes.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love this. So yeah, so I think it's, but I'd love to kind of hear from you in terms of the trans experience, like, you know.
Well, you're in luck because I'm here all night.
Figuring out.
No,
I live here in this room on this chair.
Mm-hmm.
What, you know, navigating that is like, because I think it can be really mortifying. And of course I try to make space for my partners, and I've never struggled with gender identity challenges personally, so I'm just kind of like, I'm just tiptoeing sometimes, or sometimes trying to make space. But I think there's nothing more vulnerable than being like, no, this isn't a space I'm comfortable with and I don't know yet, you know. And how do you navigate that when there is no, just, you know, in my view, this is always a term I hate when people bring it up with trans folks, is like, well, are you done transitioning, right? It's like, okay, that there's no like exit, you don't check a box and you're like, I did it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the process of transitioning never, you know, always arriving and never, or always becoming and never arriving.
Always becoming and never arriving.
What, I Googled things. What do you know, how do you navigate what courage you must need, especially in new sexual encounters, to draw lines?
Well, let me start off by making a slightly different point, which is, I love that you said that, always becoming, never arriving, because my understanding of transition and my trans identity, there's a really common narrative in the trans experience that is completely valid, of course, that you start at point A and you transition, you end at point B, and then you don't change after that point. Like, as in your understanding of yourself doesn't change after that point.
Right.
I found that very scary at the beginning of my transition because it's a lot of pressure to get somewhere and then not change. And for me, it was like, well, I'm going to age. My body's going to change. I'm going to have different life experiences. I'm going to meet different people. Read those books when I get around to it.
Yeah.
But that's going to change the way that I think about myself. So I now like to think of myself, I mean, as non-binary, but I love the term flux person.
Ooh, I haven't heard that.
I feel like I forget who coined it.
All right, get in the chat if you've heard that, because
Get
I really
in the chat.
like it.
Remind me who coined flux person, but I really like the idea of flux because it doesn't stop.
Yeah, yeah.
Fluctuation is an ongoing process until you buy the farm.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Denise, also, no one knows how to spell Dowager either. Don't worry about it.
I will, you know what, after this, we'll get together and I will take you through.
Fucking cannot.
It's actually easier than you might think.
She always says that. It's
More
never
at 11.
easier when you... This household item might kill you. More at 11. I think that's wonderful. And thank you for sharing that, because I think it's a good reminder that the trans experience is just that. It's a personal experience.
Yeah, so different depending on who you talk to. And that's a feature, not a bug, because that's part of what makes us unique and interesting and different. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so back to sex.
What about sex?
Well, like...
Oh, I forgot.
Yes,
oh my God.
I know you did, but that's why I'm here.
I was like, thank you. I was like, let me file that away. I'm not putting on dish cam. I'm not doing the polls in the
we
chat.
We made martinis as a fucking dish.
And this one has to keep me on track. So, yes. Sexuals.
Well, I guess, you know, the courage of navigating lines and boundaries feels extra difficult.
Yeah.
As as a cis woman, it's complicated enough, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, there's so many things where I'm like, oh, wow, I don't actually like that, but I don't know how to say that. But if I say that, will they stop talking to me, or will they kick me out, or what's happening? And that isn't normal. It doesn't, you know, and I was a late bloomer, so just navigating all of that with also, like, serious religious oppression. Shout out Lil Nas X, we love your video.
Oh my God.
For it, so.
Oh my God. Watching on a loop.
Just this is the back. It's right here. We're just watching it. We always are watching it.
Pole dancing down to hell and giving a lap dance to Satan is such a vibe.
Oh, it is such a vibe, and we've seen that number done. I think on stage a few times.
I think we have,
but not like that.
So we have some inside experience.
Yeah,
and we can honestly say, top-notch quality.
But like, you know, there's a lot of conversations in like kink communities, and when you get into poly relationships where it's like, okay, we're gonna have these conversations about our boundaries and blah blah blah. I'm like, that's next level shit. That doesn't happen. And add that onto body dysmorphia or just insecurity.
Yeah, well, trans people, kink practitioners, if I can use that term.
Look at that. I like that.
Practitioners of kink. You get a lot of practice at having conversations like that. You got to talk about safe words. You have to talk about body boundaries. This is a realm where actually I think cis people and vanilla people, you don't have as much experience in the conversation. Men, let's talk about men for a second.
Let's talk about men!
Let's talk about cis men.
Not enough men talk on this.
Men, get in the chat. Also, what are you doing? No.
Men, what are you doing here? Are you lost? Should we do a poll?
Nope, this isn't Cooking 101.
We cooked up some martinis. Anyways, let's talk about men.
So I think when you grow up and you're socialized male, and also let's address the elephant in the room. I grew up and was socialized male because I didn't start thinking about my transition until I was like 20.
Okay.
So I got a lot of that. I was in the locker room with the Axe body spray. Let me tell you, that's trauma. Because it smells bad.
Because it smells really bad.
But when you grow up and you're socialized male, you don't... we need to work on this in education, right? We need to talk about conversations of consent.
Oh, yeah.
How to approach. It's like, here's the penis and the vagina and how they fit together, but we're not talking about how to have like constructive, responsible, emotional conversations.
Yeah.
And so people are like, oh, let's have the sex, but it's just all about like, I'm gonna have sex because it feels good. Right. And I want to get an orgasm, and you don't have the understanding of restraint. You might want to do things that you can't do. Because people are going to, at any point during sex, somebody might say no, and you need to be able to stop.
Right.
So.
I think that's really interesting. Do you have a safe word?
No, mine is stop. My safe word is stop. Mm-hmm. And my just completely straight-faced, like period point blank, my safe word is stop. This eyebrow is starting to move again, girl.
Is it? Fix it now. Fix it live.
Are we
doing
proud.
A poll?
Do a poll.
Let's vote.
How, on a scale of 1 to F, how is my eyebrow looking?
I think they look good. I think they're just excited to be here. I think that's all it is.
They're just like, excited to be here. That's my whole ethos.
I'm excited to be here.
I'm just excited to be here. After the last year, girl.
Oh my God, girl. We're just alive. We're excited to be here. So, I love this. I used to have here's the thing about a safe word. Just in case. Get in the chat. Share your safe word.
You're safe here, you know? We love to see it.
See what we did there? Yo. We did it. So, it's so complicated because you need a safe word that doesn't sound like another word.
Yeah. And not one that's going to come up.
Well, right. So I was with someone, oh my gosh, this was years ago, and they're like, pineapple. And I'm like, yeah, but also I need to find a word that isn't like going to make me laugh. Because also, by the way, let's just
kind
point
of a
out.
hack word. It's kind of a hack word, isn't it? Like, can't we be more creative? Magenta.
I really like emu.
Ooh.
But here's why. Those two phonetic syllables, here we go, the vowel sounds don't come up a lot in the English language.
I love that you're like phonetics.
Right.
Let's talk phonetics.
Because like, that's the thing. You're in this moment. The reason you're using this word, oh my God, yes, Denise.
Denise, thank you so much. Okay. According to dictionary.com, and I love the little the like shade emoji after that. Gender flux first appeared in a queer pagan newsletter in '94.
Which is Eileen's current aesthetic.
Hello. Queer pagan
goodbye.
1994, this person.
Where Eileen was born. So, in a newsletter, she just sprung out like Aphrodite from the waves.
Mm-hmm. From Walhalla Ravine.
Oh my God, yes, it's happening from that
newsletter. It just cracked open and out I sprang.
There we go. So, you gotta find one that, you gotta find a safe word that like, it doesn't sound like anything else you'd say.
Yeah.
And like, emu is the kind of word that's short, right? Because again, you don't want something long that takes a long time. You're also at a point, by the way, when you use this word, where you're like on the brink of something unpleasant, right? Which is what people forget. So like, it needs to be a quick word, and it needs to be a word that registers as like, not anything else.
Yes.
So pineapple sucked.
So pineapple, in conclusion, what have we learned, class? Pineapple is a hack word that is not useful in this.
Pick a safe word with phonetic characteristics that don't appear in your language you're using during sex, which is whatever language you like to use during sex. Eileen only has sex in French. So, you know what I mean? Just do you, boo.
Yeah. Depends on the day of the week and my mood.
Facts.
Yeah, sometimes I just scream Balenciaga. And then I burst into flames.
And then you spring back out. Ever eternal.
Yeah, for my second coming.
From Zeus's head.
Can we say that on this program?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Can we check it? Cut it? No.
Can we take that one out? We're speaking to our technical team that
We're
doesn't exist.
You.
It's me. Just speaking to me.
I love this. Okay, so gender flex is an interesting term. And
I love that.
I really love also anytime I can learn a new term. I was actually having this conversation this week where it's like people are like, "Oh, there's always a new term." And I'm like, "Yeah. Language is thriving and living and like what? Yes, this is it." So
again, did you do your homework? Because I'm checking your workbook and I don't see that you've kept up with it. You know, like I talked to my my dad about this once. I don't know if he's watching. Hey, Dad, sorry, I'm about to like spill some tea. He expressed one time, which I think is understandable. You know, I'm acting like he's like right over my shoulder.
I know. Well, it's the internet. That's how it feels.
Yeah. But he expressed some frustration around like, well, you know, this terminology is always changing. Right. You're like, you think you're saying the right term and then it's changed and then it's out of date. And the thing is that it's difficult doing the right thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's not easy, you know? And it's like, I don't know why this is a surprise sometimes, but it's not easy. And that's why they call it work.
If people want you to have a small adult parade every time they learn a new term, I hear you. And we show up for family in different ways than we show up for other people, just for the record. We always do. Right. I do. I also want to acknowledge I had a conversation and someone was like, well, you know, they're just young and they don't get it because they were transphobic. And I was like, hey, that's cool. They're 30 and it's 2021. So I'm going to just go ahead.
I'm doing the math and it's not adding up.
Right. Like, I'm like, you know, there's a limit to, right? Like, if you're making an effort and you're trying, I'm not here to, you know, poo-poo that. But I also want to acknowledge that ignorance is a tough defense now. Let's have this conversation. Oh my God. This guy was such a misogynist. Cis man, super misogynistic D-bag, and was talking about pretty much, this is real. I want to point out this is real, and this happened like in 2020. Okay? That because I have tattoos, I'm fast.
Fast?
Fast, by the way. In case you're wondering what that term is, it means slutty, and it's from 1957.
Got it. Okay, so it's like easy.
Yes.
Okay, all
yes,
right.
But like my tattoos make me a freak. Also, the word
okay.
used. Right. So I was like, oh, wow. Oh, my God. It's been so long since I've dug through this. Like, this is amazing. Like, this is just, I have to go so far back. To,
in
like,
the card catalog.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah. I mean, back
find,
to the
like,
T's. Yeah. There's dust everywhere.
First edition misogyny.
Yes. Yeah. It felt, and I just run into it so rarely. It was just this, like, amazing moment. And the thing I didn't do in this moment, which I totally regret, is having him pull out his phone and ask him if it was like a rotary phone. Be like, look, you have evolved to a smartphone. If you can evolve to a fucking smartphone, you can also evolve on your feminism. Like, if you can figure out a new thing, because when you were a kid, it was just a phone connected to a wall. I don't know. Like, we learn on all these other parts of our life. You know what I mean? I know how to make soup now. I never thought I'd know how to make fucking soup. We grow.
I know how to cook it all. You remember what I was making when we lived together?
Oh, girl.
Just Value Time weenie dogs cut up into canned sauerkraut. And then I was surprised why it didn't turn out.
Oh, man. You were really not feeling well that night.
No, because it was self-inflicted. Because I did that to myself.
You and the cocktail weenies. God love you. But God. So, right, like, my thing is, I get the frustration sometimes of new terms. Yeah. And I highly encourage you to get over it.
Highly encourage you to.
It's good for your health. Mm-hmm. Like this booze.
Cheers to that.
Mm.
Ooh. You know what I love about us? You know what I love about us? Is that we still get excited when the tiniest things go wrong. I love that. I think that's a gift.
We've always been like that. Because I just feel like we're just like, oh my God, we made it through the day and we played a game of Yahtzee.
Yeah.
So please.
When we roll Yahtzee, when one of us is playing Yahtzee and we roll a Yahtzee, it's screaming. Screaming, spinning. Don't be our neighbor.
It's the opposite of Mr. Rogers. Don't be our neighbor.
Don't be our neighbor.
You'll regret it.
Yeah.
You feel free to comment in the chat what you're drinking, alcoholic or not. We support any and all choices.
Yeah.
I
still or sparkling.
Oh my God, I love this. I think it is so interesting because the misogyny and the transphobia you encounter is obviously like next level. I don't experience it as much because of also the people I surround myself with, but girl, like it's a masterclass in managing men.
So thank you. That's giving me a lot of credit.
Yes, it is, which is really the point of the show. Okay.
It's just to lift each other up.
Yeah.
And all you at home. But you know, girl, I just needed to get a little closer to you. You know, girl, though, sometimes I made some decisions in my life that I do not give a shit about passing anymore. And when you refuse to work in the system, a lot more crazy stuff comes out of the woodwork. Because when you decide, you know what, I think the right decision for me is having a purple page boy cut.
Yes.
You know, people get confused. They're like, what are you trying to do? And I'm like, you know what? If you don't have time to go through the whole PowerPoint presentation. We talked about that before.
Oh my God, yeah.
You're standing in front of someone at the DMV. And you're like, can I get my documents updated? And they're like, I don't even know how to address you.
But here's the thing. I will say real talk and feel free to comment. And thank you for saying what you're drinking. Lots of water drinkers. We love to see it. Stay hydrated queens. Yes. Love to see it. Here's the thing. I have seen someone with purple hair. This is my bio showing. And I'm like, well, that's a lot. And then I see you and I'm like, it fits. Like, you have to get to know me. There is nothing about your look that says extreme to me. I can truly say that. I'm like, it just fits you.
I'm rubbing off on you.
But I'm like, I totally have bias. Oh. I'm like that State Farm commercial where like the person's like in the Home Depot and they're like, you're turning in your parents like, he has blue hair, right? Where like typically that would stand out to me. And I think now, I mean, years later, now this is the first purple hair experience with you where I was like that. And now I'm just like, whatever, I don't care, it's hair.
Yeah.
And also like anyone out there with kids in like 4th and 5th and 6th grade who dye their, or whatever age.
Yeah.
Grammar school age that like dye their hair. I'm like, fuck yeah, dye their hair now. Like they're not just great. Like let them do what they want. Like
yeah.
What are they gonna look back on the photos and be like, oh man, my soccer photo, I had purple hair.
Oh my gosh, dye your hair because you know what the best thing is? It grows back or you can cut it off.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I learned that with Eileen. The hard way I would like to point out when we lived together and she would dye her hair with a fuck ton of conditioner in the bathtub. And every other week it looked like Grimace fucking murdered himself. And then I would step in it and slip and fall in the bathtub.
In my defense, there's been a lot of advances in hair coloring technology.
There really has.
I used to have to kill a Muppet every week.
Oh my God.
To maintain this color. Now, they can farm Muppets.
They just farm them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the salmon.
Yeah, over off the coast of Scotland.
Yeah, they just farm them and just right through a blender and then just into your hair.
Yeah. No, but I would mix dark dye with light conditioner, but you have to use a lot of it to get a pastel color.
Oh my God.
And I also was very lazy and did not clean out the bathtub. So don't be a monster like me and clean out the bathtub after you take a shower.
To be fair, it was impossible because there was so much conditioner. Like it wasn't, you could have rinsed it out and you probably needed to put soap down.
It's like frying bacon. You have to keep washing the pan over and over.
The most hilarious rabbit hole that no one cares about.
Anyway, bodies. So let's talk about bodies.
Oh my God. Okay, so
do you like this body?
I do love this body. We're here for this body, obviously.
Listen, it took a lot of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears to be okay with this body. Let me tell you, this was a lot of work and intention. So, it gets better. But it doesn't just happen, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's the thing that's really tough is it's a lot of hard work to be okay with your body, and it takes a lot of like support. It takes a lot of luck.
Yeah,
it takes time and money. You know,
money.
Let's talk about the privilege of being okay with your body.
Yeah, that's so real. I think everyone is going through immense body changes right now. I think the average weight gain for Americans is 1.5 pounds per month of the pandemic.
Oh my gosh, that's so real. Yeah.
And it's really interesting because I'm coming out of the pandemic having lost a significant amount of weight because of my accident. And it's been really interesting because so many people were like, you look amazing. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. I went through immense trauma and lived in hydrocodone and raspberries for 4 weeks. Like, seriously. Because
thanks. I also can't extend my elbow fully.
Right.
Probably. Yeah.
And it was just, again, I truly am such a normal, average person. I have no challenges in terms of how people treat me because of my weight, which, of course, people who are overweight do. Like, they're absolutely treated worse, like less than human sometimes. It's absolutely terrible. And I've been very lucky. It was very interesting to experience this like incredible positive reaction to something that I really was upset about. Like, I lost all my muscles, and my muscles are a big part of that 10% quarterback I really like, you know what I'm saying? So it was just a really interesting moment and a really bizarre moment to have people like praise me. But I think the reminder of, I mean, I'm still in the normal rate, nothing, you know what I mean? I think it's definitely one of those things where you're constantly thinking about it as a woman. There's no break in thinking about your body image issues. And even when you think you've gotten it and it's taken care of, you're like, oh, back to therapy. Found another one. Dig, dig, dig. You know what I mean? So
it reasons to go to therapy.com.
Right. You know what I mean? If you're a woman in America, right, you have these things. And my only wish is that, like, I don't pass those on. Like, if I'm lucky enough to start a family, I just want to make sure I'm not the kind of parent who, like, passes that shit on, and I'm like, the only way I can do that is dealing with it myself. Because you can't hide stuff from kids. So I'm like, I have to deal with this. And that means, like, actually dealing with it. Which is, it's difficult as a woman, because I remember I was dating someone for years, and they had never thought about the calories that they ate. And then they started gaining weight for the first time in their life. And they were like, oh my God, I've never had this happen. And they were really upset. And I was like, what's wrong? And they're like, I really want sushi, but I don't know if I should get it because I'm gaining weight. And I was like, I go through that with every meal. What? And it was this amazing moment that, like, of course I talked them through it, and I was like, absolutely not, you're perfect, blah, blah, blah. And also, holy shit, why the fuck am I doing that? But I do that with, you know, and it was this great moment of like, wow, what do I want versus what do I allow myself to have? Yeah. You know?
I relate to that. Eating for me is all about what do I allow myself to have. And, I mean, and let's talk about the media, where a lot of these expectations come from. The popular media is, even in just terms of fiction, is constantly putting out fictional narratives that is telling us you should relate to this with, like, like selected, curated, attractive people in a very, like, unattainable way. So I was watching a video essay, because I love a video essay on YouTube. I was watching a video essay about Emma Watson was Hermione Granger, right? It's been a while.
I think so. I don't know. I don't like the Harry Potter.
Well, hashtag canceled. But we're not going to get into that.
I really lucked out, actually, because I don't like it, so it worked out for me.
I grew up with it, so that was a real hard one. But we'll get into that in another episode.
We'll just have to do a whole episode on that.
That'll be the next dish. So Emma Watson, when she goes to the Winter Ball in Goblet of Fire, this is not going to mean a lot to you. I'm sorry,
it means nothing, but I'll listen.
To you at home, you Potterheads at home will know what I'm talking about. So Hermione Granger, very intelligent,
very wafy.
In the book, she's supposed to be like nothing to write home about. She's supposed to be an average girl, nerdy, big glasses, a lot like these. Like very good at schoolwork, but not like, she's not supposed to be a regulation hottie.
Right.
And then you have Emma Watson, who's just like walking through the day being beautiful.
Right.
And so you have this moment in the Goblet of Fire at the Winter Ball when she's supposed to appear at the top of the steps in this gown, and everyone's supposed to be like taken aback at how like, I had no idea she could look that good. But in the movie, it's Emma Watson. So she's been looking good since like the opening credits.
But wait a minute. Here's the question: does she have her glasses on or not?
She does not have her glasses on.
That's it.
Wait, are you ready for this?
Wait, hold on. Oh my God, Eileen!
You never knew, did you?
I never knew. I'm Freddie Prinze Jr. and now I'm going to take you to prom.
This is who I am now. I'm hot. Don't you love that in like 80s teen
movies? Put it back on. Ready? Where did Eileen go?
It's just immediately this face, like.
Yeah, no. I feel like this is exactly why we need to do more episodes like this, because I feel like we've gone way off the rails in all of the best ways, and we're definitely running late. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a body affirmation thought. So I will leave you with one, and Eileen will leave you with one. 1, you're perfect. 2, whatever your body did during the pandemic, it did to keep you alive, and it will continue to do so. And 3, olives are dinner. You're right.
Olives are dinner. Oh my God. I want that on like on a hoodie. Just like, and everyone's wondering what it means. Olives are dinner.
Or a cocktail napkin.
Oh. That's way better.
Merch idea.
Okay, so my affirmation, because I'm really excited. I'm so excited. So Adrienne Marie Brown is coming to speak at CCAD on Friday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. If you don't know Adrienne Marie Brown, you should absolutely look up her books, Pleasure, Activism, and Emergent Strategy. They are a guidebook on how to exist in a world where, like, life is pain, but they tell you, like, the politics of feeling good. So the affirmation I will leave you with is, your body is an engine of pleasure, and your body already knows how to feel good. You just have to listen to it.
Cheers, queers.
Cheers. Let's have one more clink.
Let's have one more clink.
Oh,
See you next Tuesday. I can't say that. See you next week. See you next week. Remember we said see you next Tuesday one time.
Oh my God.
See you next week on Tuesday at 7. We may talk about turfs. I don't really know what we're going to talk about.
I would love to talk about turfs. Oh my God.
We wouldn't have any time.
We wouldn't have any time. We would go like 2 hours.
Have your dinner. Cheers to that. If it's olives, if it's water, there's a lot of different options. Lots of hydrated people. We love to see it.
H2O.
Follow us on the gram. Follow us on Facebook. Like us there. Follow us on YouTube if that's your bag. We would love the support. And we'd love to hear from you. What do you want us to talk about? Otherwise, it's just going to be olives and Harry Potter, apparently.
And you know what? If that's what you want to hear about, we'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, everyone.